What's up, Rooted Collective? Welcome back to Awakened and Rooted. Have you ever come across a video that made you question everything that you thought you knew about the spirit world? Well, today we are diving into some of the most chilling, mind-blowing spiritual encounters captured on TikTok. From ghostly apparitions to messages from the other side, are these real or is there another explanation? Let's find out together. So grab your crystals, light some incense, and let's get into these spiritual encounters.
Have you or someone you know ever had an angelic encounter with an angel? I'll go first. So when I was younger, I think I was about 11 or 12 years old, I was in the car with my mom and two of my younger sisters, and we went to a gas station. My mom had asked one of us to go in to pay for the gas, and she was going to pump it, as we usually would do like that. And one of my sisters had said that they were going to go in and pay for it and get something else out the store. And when I tell you, we were like the only car there. The gas station was in a small suburban town. It was so vacant. No one else was there, and we didn't see a crowd of people walking in and out. You could clearly see who was going in or out. It was only one other car by the entrance, and this guy was already in the store, but my sister went in and stood behind this guy. The only two cars and people at the gas station. And so now from my sister's POV, she was like 9 or 10 at the time. She said she had went into the store. She was behind one man paying for something, and the clerk was there. It was only those three people in the store, only three of them. And she said, out of nowhere, there was this guy in all white, and he's had like paint on him, but he had all white on. He came to the store and just stood at the door and then randomly said to them, Jesus is coming back. You guys need to get your life together because Jesus will return. Jesus loves you so much, and he wants to be there for you, and God loves you. Something like that. Just those encouraging words, but it was just about Jesus coming back. So he said those things, and she said that they all just stared at him just like, okay. And it's like she knew Jesus. We went to church all our lives, like, but she said she was just kind of like shocked, out of place, like she didn't really know what to say or do, and as well as the other two men. And she said he just walked out of the store. That was it. And as soon as she came out and paid for her stuff, about 2-3 minutes later, she ran out and was like, Mom, there was a guy that came in there and just said that Jesus is coming back and that Jesus loves us. And I was in the car too, so I was witnessing this and I was hearing this. It was me and my other younger sister and my mom. And we were like, what's going on? Like, what do you mean? She was like, no, he had all white on and he had paint on his shirt and pants. And he said that, Jesus this, Jesus that, and then that Jesus loves us. And then he walked out. And my mom was really infatuated with this story. She was like, very curious because she has had angelic encounters and demonic encounters. So she was like, was this real? Like, because I didn't see anybody go in or out of the store. And she asked my sister, like, are you sure? Like, no one came out of this door and we're right next to at the door. Like, no one else walked in or out because the gas pump was right next to the front, entrance. And she was like, yeah, he just walked out. He should be like literally like right here, or maybe he walked around the corner and you didn't see. Like he just walked out like 2 seconds ago. Like he should be. And my mom tried to drive around the gas station. She was like, let me see. Where is this man? She kept trying to drive around the gas station. And she was like, he's nowhere to be found. Like he should be somewhere within distance. Like there's just like this big highway in this street right here. Like where else could he have gone? Because there was no other car either. So we were just like, what in the world? And then my mom just came to this point where she was like, I believe an angel just spoke to you. And my sister was like, really? Like what? Like, wow. She was like, I believe an angel just walked into that store and spoke to you, because no one else came out of that store. Nothing else. We're literally looking, and no one else besides that man that was in front of you. He drove off, and then you came out. No one else entered or exited. Like, we don't know what in the world. So it was so inexplainable, and we were just in awe, and we were like, wow. We just kept talking about it with my mom for like the next 30 minutes or so to an hour. So yeah, that was something. It wasn't my own personal experience. I've had more demonic encounters, never angel encounters, but that's a story for another day if you haven't heard any of those already. But yeah,
That one just gave me all the little warm feels. That was a nice one.
Two of the craziest spiritual stories that have ever happened to me in my entire life. A lot of spiritual stuff happens to me as a reader, but these two stories, yeah, okay. The first one we gonna talk about has to do with some type of goddess crystal necklace that I got before I even got into reading tarot and everything. And I already know disclaimer, okay, because I do know it was a Hindu goddess. At the time, disclaimer, this is when they say if you don't know what you're messing with, do not mess with it. Leave it alone, okay? If you have not at least studied a description or studied it or on it, leave it alone here. And this was my lesson. Let's talk about the first one. So the first time I went to a mystic store, it was in New York. I had gotten this necklace and Spirit was already talking to me at that time, but I could not, I'm a Taurus bull, okay? And I also have a Mercury in Aries, a Venus in Aries. I can get very excited, so I need a lot of grounding, and I'm very youthful and whimsical. Always been that way. So I did not know how to listen to intuitive nudges at that time. I did not know I was in high school at the time. Yeah, I just didn't know how to listen, how to listen when Spirit is trying to speak through other people. But my cousin and I had went to this mystic shop, and we were just going to check it out. And again, I had no idea. I didn't read tarot, anything like that. And I was drawn to this necklace, and it was a necklace of a goddess. I do not know what goddess it was, and I really wish I did. I don't know, okay? But that was the problem. And I hear my cousin, she was like, hey, you shouldn't buy anything unless you know what it is, or I want to buy things intentionally. And I stood and listened. She kept repeating it. And this man turns around, a random man, and he goes, that is so wise. Like, you really shouldn't buy something that you don't know. That is so wise. Thank you so much. He's like, I needed that reminder. I still didn't listen. My head was like, I like the necklace. So I wear the necklace, really like it. It's Pretty Woman, and wear the necklace. And this was on the weekend. Monday was school, and I usually walk to school, but it was kind of a far walk. I could have took transportation, but that day I felt like I felt off in the morning. Like, I wore the necklace, but I felt kind of like not off. I started to feel scared, but didn't relate the fear to wearing the necklace. I felt an energy. I felt powerful, but I didn't relate it to wearing the necklace. And for the weekend, the rest of the weekend, I was home, so I didn't really feel anything. I don't even remember dreaming anything. But that Monday that I was going into a big environment, I started to feel like this energy. I don't know what it was, but I didn't, I just went on with my day. I was like, whatever, maybe I don't want to go to school, whatever, but I went to school. And I'm walking, and all of a sudden I stop I feel like something is following me. Okay. And I stop at the corner, and there's this woman in the distance. So where I was going to school, across the street, there was a lot of grass area. Not exactly the bushes, but grass area. Like, it kind of looked a little bit forest-like because there were a lot of trees. And I see this woman, this Indian woman, coming out of, and it's an older Indian woman. She has a head wrap, coming out of the shadows. And I'm just thinking, like, I'm in Brooklyn, I'm just thinking we're all multicultural over here, so I don't think anything of it, but I feel like she's looking directly at me. So I'm over here, just like, I went to the store, I was outside the store, and I'm considering whether or not I want to take an Uber or a Lyft or something to school or continue walking. So I'm at the street corner, but I feel this, it was almost like someone was shining a torchlight at me. And I'm just there like, no, like, I'm psyching myself out. So, like, I keep looking up. The woman looks like she's coming to me, but I can put down my head. I don't think anything of it. And I look up again, and she's closer, and I put down my head. And then I look up again, and this woman, I am here, and this woman is here. So I'm over here, I start looking around to see if anybody else is seeing this. This is New York City. Everyone's minding their business. But I'm just like, okay. And at this point, I could see her fully. An older woman, she looks ancient, and she's whispering something, a different language under her breath. Like, she's speaking nonstop. She was speaking nonstop the whole entire time. And she's speaking, and I literally, she comes towards me, and I'm thinking she's gonna stop. So I'm like, oh, excuse me. So I try to move out the way, and she follows me, and she's coming towards me like she's going to physically walk in my body. I swear to God, she's like literally at this point, she's here directly in front of my face, like she's trying to walk in my freaking body. And I jump back and I scream. I'm like, ah, like I literally scream, and everyone turns around and she like looks angry that I did that. And she starts walking backwards. And at this point, I'm really wondering if other people saw this person or not. And she starts walking backwards and disappears into the grass area. Like literally starts walking backwards. And I'm literally just standing there shaking. People are looking at me like I'm crazy. And I rip off the necklace, fully rip it off, and I leave it there. I leave it on the street. I don't even think I threw it in a trash can. I don't even remember. Like, I blacked out at that time. So that's the first story. Again, when it comes to spiritual stuff, if you don't know what you're messing with, don't mess with, know the names of things, study it, looking up. Especially when it comes to any jewelry with any sign, anything on it, just know what it is. And crystals too, know what it is. Know the properties of things, please. Story number 2. So I am very connected to fairies, not intentionally. They've just always really liked my energy. I have a lot of fairy energy. They come through in meditations and everything. But again, before what I like to call my full spiritual awakening, when I started, I had started reading tarot cards at this time. I was in college, and right before my major life change, right before I started doing TikTok, right before I started doing TikTok, and there was my life was like a tornado. I ended up moving. I started doing my business, everything. I didn't know the change that was coming. A lot of mystical things started happening. I was getting these really crazy dreams. My psychic gifts were the craziest it's ever been. I was literally telling the near future really accurately. So at the time, my roommate was also reading cards. So it was me and her reading cards. It would be our self-care activity. But I had no intention of doing cards professionally at the time. But again, it was all my spirit team, my guides and everything were starting to make themselves known that I had angels. And it wasn't just I wasn't just meant to just read tarot, as a cute self-care thing. It was supposed to be more. So a lot of the spirit animals, I also... There's a lot of stories. There's a lot of stories that I just remembered. Any spirit animals, any beings on my side started to reveal themselves one after the other. Because after this happened, I had an encounter with a freaking wolf. That's a whole different situation. But, so me and my roommate at the time, it was just me and her in dorm room. And we were about to go to sleep and about to turn off the light. So we turned off the light, and I used to have a photo wall, just the hanging, the little cute lights with the photos hanging on it. So I used to have a photo wall, and we never really had, and I know it's naive to say, but we never had things like flies. We literally never had, or any big mosquitoes or anything ever come into the room. Nothing like that. But it was the loudest thump. It was something was thumping against this wall. And all the photos in the wall started shaking. Rattling, shaking. So my roommate's twisting and turning. She's stop doing that. I'm I'm not doing anything. And it starts shaking like crazy. So I just go ahead and I tap it, I'm just what the hell? Is it a fly or something? So I just turn over, go to sleep, and it's still shaking. It's still going off. And I'm what did I say? I can't, another blackout moment. But I said, what are you? Reveal yourself. I said something like that, what are you? And I turn around, pissed off, and I put my camera light on, and I see what I believe was a fairy. Unless I don't know a fly that just happens to be yay big and somewhat of a human body, and it was dark. It was literally a dark figure, and it was yay big. I didn't see here, but it looked like a little alien figure thing, and it had wings, and it looked at me and it went poof. Now I didn't know that when I did that, my roommate was also sitting up. And she's looking at me and I'm looking at her, and she's screaming. She's why did you have to say, what the hell was that? And I was I don't know what it was. And she's just go to sleep. Let's just go to sleep. And went to sleep. No one talked about it after that. So yeah, that was a fairy. Let me know if you guys are interested in hearing about the wolf. That one isn't so crazy, but yeah, right before I started my spiritual business, and they were guiding me to the fact that I was a healer, whatever, all these things, and it wasn't just reading tarot for fun. All these beings, spirit animals, started revealing themselves to me really bluntly and crazy. So that's my life.
And her life is something else. I almost want to look it up to find that one about the wolf.
What's the weirdest thing that ever happened to you that made you think that God was real? And I'm not talking about believing in some kind of universal energy.
My step stool collapsed. I fell, I hit my head on the stove, and I lay paralyzed on the floor. It was the weirdest, freakiest accident that ever happened to me. Have I ever told you this story? Well, here, I'm going to tell you right now. So, fast forward, well, backtrack to 6 months prior to my accident. My late husband, Hector, he got diagnosed with 5 years to live. And it was very devastating to us. We didn't know what to do. So basically, he became disabled and he stayed at home while I still continued with my family business as a commercial cleaning company. Well, now fast forward to 6 months later, the day of my accident, he wanted to come to work with me that day. And I was like, no, he looked really, really sick that day. And I told him, no, stay home, rest, and I'll go and I'll just check on these apartments. He says, no, I want to go. He insisted on going with me. And thank God he did, because we go into the apartment. He goes on his normal little routine because he likes to check the windowsills and mini blinds and all that. So I go straight to the kitchen where I check cabinets and, I look in the stove and make sure everything is done, right? Well, I take the step stool and I put it in front of the stove and I climb up on it. It's only like a 2-ring step stool. I climb on the step stool, and as I reach to open the cabinet, boom, boom. It happened that quickly. The step stool collapsed. I hit my head on the stove and I'm on the floor. Apparently, I knocked myself unconscious. When I came to, I could hear him from a distance, like he sounded like he was way away, like in a distance. And he was like, no, oh my God. And I heard him screaming. And I'm like, and as I'm coming to more and more and more, I realized I'm on the floor. Oh my God. And it felt so weird. It felt like my neck and my head was detached from my body. And I was like, okay, something's wrong. And he was like, babe, oh my God. And I remember saying, don't touch me, call an ambulance. Ambulance came, they flipped me over, and that's when the pain hit me on my arms. My arms were so inflamed with pain that the air would touch me, and I was like screaming. So we get in the ambulance, we beeline it to the hospital, and we're stopping at every light. So at this point, Hector thinks that I'm dead because they're like taking their time getting to the hospital. And so by the time we get to the hospital, and I'm telling these guys, like, look, why are y'all going so slow? And I'm crying, and they're like, we're going to get there, ma'am. We're going to get there. But apparently they didn't realize how serious this injury that I just had was. So we get in the hospital. Hector's like losing his mind. He's calling everybody. Constance had an accident. So friends are running up to the hospital. My brother, everybody, my family. And the doctor is talking to me and asking me questions. And I'm telling him, my arms are inflamed, but I can't feel my body. So the doctor runs and gives me a CT scan. So CT scan comes out. Miss Serrano, you're fine. I'm fine. What? Yeah, the CT scan didn't show anything. And I'm like, no, it's impossible. I can't walk. I can't move. Next thing you know, an hour passes and he's giving me my discharge papers like he's kicking me out of the hospital. That's when everybody loses it. Hector started cussing. My friends started cussing. Everybody is losing it out in the reception area, waiting room, whatever. And all of a sudden, while they're all having, this big brawl, next thing you know, they're saying, we're going to call the police and they're going to throw us out of the hospital. Well, the police walks past my curtain and I'm like, oh my God, they're about to kick us out. So I immediately like, oh God, I just started praying and praying and praying. 2 seconds later, this man comes to my curtain, where the curtain is. What's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know who this man is, but he didn't have no medical attire on, nothing. He goes, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "They're about to throw me at the hospital." And he comes closer. He says, "Do you mind if I, touch your?" You can. He said. He starts touching me, like on my feet, on my leg. "Do you feel this?" I said, "No, I don't feel anything." But when he touched my arm, I screamed. I was like, "Oh my God!" He said, "I'll be right back." He made a phone call. He called Dr. Todd Lassner. Dr. Lassner had just now at this point, it's 2 in the morning. And Dr. Lassner, he basically just got through with surgery and just got home and laid his head on the pillow. Well, when Dr. Lassner came up to that hospital, the whole floor just went, they got quiet. The doctor who basically was trying to kick us out, his eyes was like this. Dr. Lassner said, "Miss Serrano, what's wrong with you?" And I told him, and I was crying. He says, "Did you guys put her through an MRI?" No, doctor. They didn't put me through an MRI. He says, "Miss Serrano, this is going to be very difficult for you. Have you ever had an MRI?" I said, "No." He said, "I'm going to have, you got to be very still for 45 minutes. And he explained to me, oh my God, it was the most horrendous thing I've ever been through because my arms were inflamed with pain. I came out of that MRI and that doctor cussed the whole floor out. He was like, "She effing broke her neck, you effing idiots." And everybody was like, just scared. And the man that came to see me, I didn't tell you this part. When he was standing in the door, I saw a silhouette around him, like a light. And it was like something was behind him. I know those were my guardian angels because they directed him to my room. He was laying on the couch at 12 midnight and he jumped up and said, "Oh, I forgot to give my colleague a book." He said he usually doesn't come through the emergency room, but that night he came through the emergency room. Okay. He came and saw the commotion and was like, "What is going on in here?" And that's when he asked me. And that's when he made a phone call to that doctor who saved my life. The doctor looked over me when he finished cussing everybody out. He said, "Now, Miss Serrano, what I'm about to tell you is not going to be easy. I can't promise you your life. I cannot promise you. You're so inflamed in your C2 through your C7 is compressed into your spinal cord. I need to do surgery to decompress it off your spinal cord, and then I need to put cadaver bones or your bones or something in between the C3, 4, and 5 because it became bone on bone on bone." That's where I was getting all the pain from. Oh my God, this doctor went in. He said, "Now I'm tired. I need to get some sleep, but I'm going to put you on some really good medication. I'm going to put you in ICU, and in the morning, I'm going to work on you, Miss Serrano. I'm going to do my best to save your life." Oh my God, the next morning, I had that surgery. 10 hours later, when I opened my eyes, I said, "Is this heaven?" Because it was so bright in the room. No, I survived, and that doctor saved my life. So, guardian angels, they've been my friends ever since that day. And I have been relying on them and God, because those are God's messengers, ever since that day. And the reason I'm telling you this is because God is real. His angels are real. We have experienced guardian angels in directing us to each other. And that's when I met my guardian angels. So, what do you think about that?
That's a hell of a story.
And I am here today because of them and Dr. Todd Lassner, one of the best spinal doctors in the whole world. He saved my life.
So he basically didn't even have a reason to be there. But the book that he forgot to give to a colleague was the catalyst for him to get up out of bed, go run and give it to
But cut
the colleague.
through.
But he decided to take a shortcut.
Took a shortcut
through the ER.
Yep.
And he heard the commotion, and that's when he asked you.
Yep. So, guardian angels. I'm gonna write a book about
That's
this.
incredible.
Bye, guys.
That was amazing. Oh my God, I love that story.
A ghost pulled my hair at work tonight, and we actually caught it on camera. Before the ghost pulled my hair, I was standing up against the game machine and I felt something touching the back of my head. And I'm a spiritual person, and if you've seen any of my other videos recently, some weird stuff has been happening to me, and I've been trying to piece it all together. So I turned around and I said, please stop touching my hair. And I turned back around and I'm looking at my phone, and about 5 minutes later, my hair gets moved. I'm looking down, my hair gets moved out of my face and over my shoulder. It scared me. I jumped and looked and I shouted, what the fuck? And like the girls coming out of the office, I'm pretty sure I scared them a little bit because it was happening at the exact same time. And no, they were not opening the door. There was no draft. And we did test that theory later to see if that door got open as hard as it could, as soft as it could, if it would move my hair in that position. It did not. I'm actually going to clip, after this, I'm going to clip the little video. We went in and watched it. I'm going to play it probably once or twice because I want you to see. If you look at my left shoulder, my back's going to be facing you. Look at my left shoulder and it goes over.
Saw that, right? Saw that, right? Saw that, right?
So I'm going to tell you guys about my second encounter ever with a demon. So this happened maybe in 2021, I want to say. 2021. And I was new to this whole like spiritual warfare, like demons and all this stuff. Like I had read up quite a bit. And, you know, I was starting to do research on my own. And one of the people that I came across was John Ramirez. If you don't know who John Ramirez is an ex-Satanist. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. But, yeah, he was a warlock. He was inducted since he was 9 years old. Like, he had a super crazy life. Y'all should check out his testimony whenever you get a chance. So I was watching a lot of his, like, YouTube videos. And I was just so, like, intrigued and saying, like, wow, like, I can't believe someone went through this and they went completely the opposite way, and now they're back on this side. Like, wait, Jesus, this is so awesome, right? Like, very much feeling like I want to learn more about deliverance. I want to learn more about demons. I want to learn about all this stuff so that like I can be like a demon slayer or whatever. So like I said, I'm watching all these videos and I'm getting really intrigued, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. Like, I want to know more about this and everything. So that night, there was this night that I was like watching like I think 6 hours of content from him, because I was just like, I want to know everything. Like, what does this guy know? And I just remember thinking like, wow, like this is just the coolest thing ever. Like, I never knew that people can like God can take people out of this. Like, if there's hope for him, which is crazy to say, but that's how I felt. Like, if there's hope for him, there's hope for me. And I remember going to bed that night and thinking like, you know, not really thinking anything of it. And I do remember I did not pray that night before I went to bed. So like I said, that night when I went to bed, I did not pray. And I remember having a dream. And in this dream, it was just the scariest dream. I don't remember verbatim what happened, but I just remember feeling like, if this is real life, this is so terrifying. And if this is fake, I need to be out. Like, let me out of here. I'm over it. Wake me up. I want to be woken up. So I remember being in the dream and actively feeling like, okay, I want to wake up now. Hello? Why am I not waking up? So guys, this had never happened to me before, but quite literally, I felt like I was awake, but my body could not move. Like, I could not physically wake myself up. Like how I would normally open my eyes and be like, oh, okay, I'm awake. Thank you, God, for a new day. Like, I literally knew that I was awake. I was conscious that I was no longer sleeping, but my body was, even though I was conscious that I was awake, my body was fully paralyzed and I could not move. And if you guys have never experienced sleep paralysis, I didn't know at the time it was sleep paralysis, but later on I found out it's sleep paralysis. It is the most scariest demonic thing that can ever, one of the scariest things that has ever happened to me in my life, still top 10 to this day. And I just remember feeling like I wanted to talk, I couldn't talk. I wanted to move, I couldn't move. I wanted to scream, I couldn't scream. And I was just like, the only thing that could come to my mind to say was Jesus, 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 Jesus. So after saying Jesus, 3 times, finally, I felt like this weight lift off of me. And y'all, I was like, and I woke up and I just remember being in sweat, being in a panic and feeling like, oh my God, like what just happened to me? And I was so scared. I ran out of my room and I went to my mom's room and I was like, I just told her everything that just happened to me. So my mom, she pulls out the Bible and she goes to like, I think it was like Psalm 91 or something like that, and starts reading the scriptures with me and saying like, you need to stop watching all that stuff, like, whatever. And at the time, y'all, I'm not gonna lie, I was still living in sin. I was still, fornicating, I was doing stuff I was not supposed to be doing. So I believe that because I was trying to learn more about God and also like get out of, that's what happens when you're a Christian and you try to learn about God, especially in the beginning. The enemy wants you to go back to your ways. He doesn't want you to find out the truth about God. And it makes sense, right? Because if you are running, right, track and field, right, Olympics just came out, track and field, and you are in a race and there's somebody who is in a block. I know y'all know how track runners have those blocks that they set up. If somebody has their block started like 50 meters ahead of you and they're running, you're not too concerned about the fact that the people back at the starting line are way behind you because you think, oh, I got it. But as soon as you realize that that person is gaining on you and they might actually win the race, you're going to push a little bit harder. And that's exactly what I believe the enemy does to us as Christians. When you are living in a lifestyle that is not of God and you are trying to seek truth and get out, he will try to put things in your way to stop you from continuing further in your path. And I say all this to say, y'all, demons are real, but be encouraged and understand that we have overwhelming victory in Christ Jesus. And it doesn't matter what happens to you, you are valuable to God, right? If God says in the Bible that God cares about wildflowers and he clothes them beautifully, even though they're going to be thrown in the fire tomorrow, how much more do you think he cares about you? And I believe that so many of us fall for the lie that we are too broken, we're too damaged, we're too far gone for God to redeem us. But the reason why I was so drawn to watching John Ramirez's story is because John Ramirez completely abandoned God, right? He hated God. He hated people of God. And now he is completely back fighting the good fight of faith for the right team. And I say this to say to all of you to be encouraged that even though demonic attacks are real, spiritual warfare is real, and all of these things can and might have affected you, you are victorious in Christ Jesus. You are an overcomer and you have authority in the name of Jesus. The blood of Jesus is redemptive. It saves. It is currently saving and it will continue to save long after you and I are not here anymore. But you have to understand this. Demons are real. They do have power, but you have to understand God is greater than anything. So yeah, y'all, that's my story about my second encounter with a demon. I've had more. If you guys would like to have another story time about the time I went to a mass deliverance and I experienced seeing people manifest for the first time, it was very, very, very interesting. So if you want to hear that story, y'all let me know in the comments. But y'all be encouraged. Fight the good fight of faith. And love y'all.
So in 2021, my deceased grandmother comes to me in a dream, and she had already been passed away a few years at that time, but we are standing in her bathroom, which is crazy because we were not allowed in her bathroom like that, but we were standing in her bathroom in the dream. She would communicate to me with our thoughts. So my mouth never moved, her mouth never moved. We just knew what each other was trying to communicate. Like I could hear her without her moving her mouth. She came up to me in this dream, gives me this big hug and tells me everything is going to be okay. I'm telling her through my mind, like, what do you mean everything's going to be okay? I'm good. Everything's okay. Like, what do you mean? Like, what's going to happen? Like, I'm so confused because she's like, everything's going to be okay. You just have to trust me. It's all going to work out. It's all going to be okay. Then she gives me this big hug. I felt the hug when I woke up. I felt the hug for weeks after. I've never felt a more beautiful, loving hug. It was full of so much love and it was so intense. I've never felt anything like that from anyone. So the next day I tell my mom, like, Grandma came to me in a dream and she told me everything's gonna be okay. And she hugged me, and I don't know, it just felt like she was like almost consoling me or something. It was just interesting. Then a few months after that, I have a dream that my mom passes away. Now, I did not think that this was a literal dream. Like, we were raised in the church. We thought everything was like, you know, you don't think that somebody's going to pass away. You think it's like, oh, it's a spiritual death and your life is going to change, which it has. But so I had that dream that my mom passed away. Me and my mom talked about it. We talked about it often. Like, we talked about it. You know, I had that dream. Everybody in my family knows when Brittany has a dream, Brittany has a dream. I'm the dreamer in the family. They know, like, if I dream about something, it means something, even if it's not what we think it is. So that was a few months after. Fast forward to January of 2022, I start seeing the numbers 444 every single day, multiple times a day. Not only do I see it every day, I'm waking up at 4:44 a.m. every day. I'm seeing it on license plates and receipts everywhere. And I tell my mom, like, this is so crazy. What in the world is going on? Like, what is my life? This is so strange. You know, I see the numbers 444 every day. 4 months go by. April 2nd of 2022, I'm walking upstairs in my house. I feel this intense pain in my chest. This pain knocks the wind out of me. I'm trying not to get emotional now thinking about this pain. It was the worst thing I'd ever felt in my entire life. I had never felt a pain. It was almost like physical pain mixed with emotional pain, mixed with spiritual pain, mixed with my heart being ripped out my chest. I fell to my knees and I screamed. I've never screamed. I'm not a loud person. You may not be able to tell, but I'm not. But I screamed like someone was physically doing something to me. I screamed and I cried and I screamed until I lost my voice. And then the next day, my mom gets into an accident. 4/8/22 at 4:44 p.m. Y'all remember I was seeing 444 for 4 months before. I had the dream that my mom passed. And then my grandma comes to me 1 year before, consoling me, hugging me, telling me everything is going to be okay. And my mom passes away on 4/8/22. She takes her last breath at 4:44 p.m. And it just hit me today, like, sometimes I think all of this is a coincidence, but then I'm like, there has to be something greater to this. And now I spend my days telling people the same thing that my grandmother told me. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Oh my God, that was like heart-wrenching and amazing at the same time.
Hey guys, so I just want to tell y'all about the time that I saw this lady in the spirit. So this what happened. I went to sleep and I had this dream that my best friend and I were working at this brand new job together and we were getting trained. And then it came time for our lunch break, so I went home to take a nap on my lunch break. And in the dream, I went home and laid in the bed, and I had my son, and we're in the bed sleeping together. And just as I was about to like fall all the way asleep, I suddenly woke up feeling really alarmed, and I looked and I could see my back door, and my back door was cracked. And I'm like, oh no, I gotta go shut my back. So I'm walking towards the back door, and I can see, before I get there, I can see through. It's a lady walking down like the street, and she's like a skinny, tall black woman with like wild hair all over the place, big wild hair. She had a black shirt, black bottoms, and black nails, and she was like talking to herself, and I was like, oh no, this lady crazy. Let me hurry up and get over here and shut my door before she reached my door. So as I'm walking, I can also see that the other houses next to mine were like vacant, were like empty or shut up, boarded up, like nobody was in there. And I just was like, dang, it's strange, where's everybody at? So right as I reached the door, the lady reached my door too. Like, she wasn't coming to my door, but she was coming my way. But I guess when she saw my door open, she came to my door. Guess what happened? This lady walked up to my door and she goes, Jesus is real. You have to tell people Jesus is real. Jesus is real. You have to tell them. And I said, I already am. And I shut the door in her face. Y'all, I was scared of this lady. I shut the door in her face. Y'all, I thought that was the end of it. Till she opened the door and like kind of pushed her way in. And she was like, try harder. And then I just woke up. Now, as if that wasn't scary enough, because that thing shook me. Like, she opened up my door and screamed, try harder. It shook me and woke me up. Y'all was scared. So as if that wasn't scary enough, like an hour later, we get an Amber Alert on our phones for this area saying missing endangered adults. And I could see the description almost, but I had to click on the link. And y'all, just something in me just felt like very just uncomfortable, very nervous about this. But I click on the link. Tell me why it was this lady. Tell me why. You scroll down, it's a picture of it, of the person. It was the lady exactly as I saw her in my dream. Wild hair, black, her description was black top, black bottoms, black purse. And they said that this was a dementia patient who had wandered off or something like that. Y'all, I don't know why this terrified the daylights out of me. Like, I was so scared. Like, how did I just meet this lady? How did I just meet her? And she's wandering, talking, saying, I don't know what she was saying at first, but when she came to me, Jesus is real. People need to know Jesus is real. You have to tell them. You have to tell them. And I'm like, I already am. And she coming like, try harder. Like, holy cannoli, y'all. That was terrifying. So I just wanted to come and share that experience with y'all, because when you're a seer and you see in the spirit, you never know what's gonna happen. You never know what or who you're gonna see. You never know, like, so you just gotta stay prayed up. And I think that the people who, you know, she was wandering down the street, and I just wondered who, like, how far she wandered before anybody saw her. That's probably why she came to my door, because I was home in the spirit. Like, you know, I'm in tune with the spirit of God. So I was home, I can see, and there was nobody else around. And she got found later on that night. And I just felt like, wow, man, I kind of wondered if she knew me. Like, I wondered, like, when she, I don't know, like, if she would recognize me because she saw me in this dream. But yeah, that's it.
I think that would freak me out too.
Alright, so one day I was watching the Sid Roth at Supernatural show, and I was watching this episode called The Courts of Heaven. So after I watched the show, I closed my eyes, and in faith, I believed that I presented myself before God, and I told him, Lord, please clear my file. I want to start over, take away anything that I probably don't even remember. I just don't want the enemy to have anything to accuse me of. Like, I want to start over. And the crazy thing was that night I had a dream, and this is my first spiritual dream. But I dreamt that it was nighttime and I was in a hotel room. I was looking at myself in the bathroom mirror, and I see something coming out of my nose, my right nostril. It kind of looked like a slug, or more like a leech, if anything. And so I remember tugging it a little bit, but it kind of crawled back in my nose. And for some reason in my dream, I knew that it reached all the way down to my throat. I knew it was big. So I knew I was going to need help. Then I get out of the bathroom and I see my mom, and I tell her if she can help me take it out. So then I lay on her lap, and then she just yanks it out. However, when it fell on the floor, it was not a slug or a leech. It was a big black cobra. And the good thing was that it died when it came out, because when it was inside of me, it was still alive because it crawled back in my nose. So at least it died. So that's where the dream finished. But the craziest part was that when I woke up, I was like half asleep, and I feel my right nostril tingling like if it had actually happened. And I really do believe it actually happened, because ever since then, I was able to perceive the spiritual more, and I really do feel like that wickedness that was inside of me came out. So that was good. So if you guys have had any dreams, any crazy dreams or dreams from God, write it down in the comments, because I would love to know, and I would love to read what you guys have gone through too. But anyways, that was my experience, and God bless.
Girl, no, nobody has had a dream like that dream you had. That is something else.
Okay, so this is what I need everyone to understand. I need everyone to understand that spiritual people, and I'm not talking about religious people, those people who do things religiously for the sake of religion. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about spiritual people, people who have been can audibly hear secret conversations that are being had about them. Hey, yo, say, man, listen, I remember when that video went viral, like a couple of years ago, right? And people was like, you're a witch. You're doing witchcraft. How, Sway? How? Listen, if you have that gift, the gift of clairaudience, that's what it's called, whether people want to believe it or not. If you can audibly hear conversations, you're not crazy. You're not a witch, unless you identify as such. You just gifting. You just continue to gift. The spiritual gifts are real, right? It's just what it is. My advice to you is to keep on gifting. Because I still hear those conversations. And people still don't know that I hear them. I don't say a word. Not one mumbling word. I let you have the conversation. And the energy shift will tell you all you need to know. Still relevant today. Thank you, TikTok, for allowing me to go viral at least once.
Alright, so boom. One of my most impactful spiritual moments in my life was where I kept seeing these signs of Kali Ma. And I would see her photo, her image, like multiple times a day. I'm talking, I go on Instagram and she's the first thing that I see. I hear her in conversation. I even heard in song. I'm telling you, it was crazy. So when you get synchronicities, I'm like, okay, this is a sign, guys. What are you trying to tell me? So I did some research. I started to find out all that I could about the goddess and everything like that, and looking at, you know, what they represent, what they're about. And I was like, yeah, I resonate with this. I resonate with this goddess. And I just felt this impeccable sense of just wanting to show my respect. So I found out a mantra that I really liked and really resonated with, and figured out what offering she would like and things like that. And I started to do this every single day. I did this every single day for about 6 months, where I would wake up every morning, do my mantras, give my offerings, all of this stuff. And I would do this every single day for 6 months straight. I didn't expect anything back. I just felt compelled to do it every single day. And also sang her songs as well. She has some songs. So then one fine night, I was getting ready for bed, and I hadn't meditated. I had no drugs, no mushrooms, no DMT, no nothing, no nada. I was just simply getting ready for bed, and I closed my eyes, and my head hadn't even hit my pillow, and she appeared. Just with my eyes closed. Just imagine like my eyes closed right now. There she is. And I opened my eyes and I was like, oh my God. I closed them again. She was there. In my head, I'm just like, okay, this is happening. Okay, all right. Like, just kind of nervous because this is my first experience, but I'm open to it. I'm not scared. I don't feel any fear, nothing like that. And she's just there. And I can feel this feeling of like overwhelming love. Like if you have ever, if Cancer, this is how I would explain it. If Cancer, the astrological sign, was a person and you could feel that energy, that is Kali Ma. Kali Ma's energy feels like the unconditional devotional love of a mother. And I was just like enveloped in it, just completely cradled in this unconditional love from her. And the level of detail as well, like it was, I could see the hair and the texture of her hair. She had blue skin, the garlands, you know, oh my gosh, it was so overwhelming. I can't even begin to put it into words, but I'm trying for you, my darlings. But that was really impactful to me, because at that moment I was like, wow, these deities that we see in statues, in paintings, like they look like that, they are that. Like, it's something that I always knew before and always believed, but this time, like, I knew. It was like my first experience of actually making that contact for myself and having a deity come to me. Like, that to me was like a very humbling moment. Because, you know, sometimes you might say, oh, only a priestess can do these things, or whatever else. And it was just like, with consistency, with pure devotion and pure intent, these beings, goddesses, gods, deities, they will recognize that, and they will come for you, and they will hear you, and they will ride for you. And Kali has definitely rode for me ever since. So for me, it was a hugely impactful moment, because it showed me that with devotion you can create contact with them, and that they are indeed real, and no one can tell me otherwise. Like, I don't want to hear that. And just a little tip for you guys, like, if you ever want to create contact with these beings for yourself, don't contact them because you just want something. It's like calling up a friend that you haven't spoken to in 5 years and said, oh yeah, can I get that can I get a favor? No. Go with a pure heart, pure intent, and pure devotion, and go to the ones that you resonate with. No one can really tell you otherwise. There's plenty of readings that you can have that can help you see who's on your team, but it's up to you to do the work to create the connection in the relationship. So yeah, it was a hugely impactful moment for me, because like I said, I was just going to bed, y'all. Like, I wasn't even trying to evoke nothing. Like, it was literally like my head hadn't even hit the pillow. I was settling into bed, and it was just like a kind of moment, like not even in between sleep state. And yeah, it was a moment that literally changed me forever, and I'm really grateful for it.
Wow. Some of those encounters gave me chills. Whether you believe in the spirit world or not, there is no denying that there is something powerful happening out there. So what do you think? Is it real, or is it just our minds playing tricks on us? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a video. Until next time, stay curious, stay open, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.